What's the biggest mistake you've made because you were horny? Let my ex-boyfriend try hump me for an hour on a bench outside after summer school. The bad news, this bench behind our school was also beside a swimming pool, where parents were taking their children for swim lessons. Eventually a staff member came out and yelled at us for being inappropriate. I still have shame flashbacks today, over 10 years later. Okay, this is the one that got me. This is hecking hilarious Lamau. Just hanging around for an entire humping session on a bench. This happened a couple of months ago. I was horny. I went to masturbate in the bathroom because I was staying in a hostel. I was having a good time, then I heard a glass window breaking and me looking down to see freaking blood pumping out of my freaking wiener like I opened a water tap. Turns out, some dumb people were playing cricket and hit the ball straight onto the glass window and broke it. The glass shard fell right on my erect wiener. Thankfully the bleeding stopped a few minutes after I lost my erection. Had to run to the emergency clinic. Thankfully I didn't lose my sausage. Always turn your back to a hostel window when beating off in the bathroom. Got it. It was the year 2000 and I was 14. I finally got my own desktop computer. One of those big plastic mammoths that connected at the speed of dial-up. I stayed up long hours chatting to random people on Yahoo. It was there that I met James. James was a year older than me and he was from England. He was classically handsome and witty. I sent him a photo of one of my older sister's friends because I was pretty tomboyish and plain at that age. We ended up talking every day, as often as we could. If I recall, back then it was not free to voice chat with a microphone. Or maybe the connection wasn't great. Either way, we began talking on the phone, but my family was poor so he always had to call me and it was very expensive. Did I mention he was from England? Just the sound of his voice made me swoon. I could have listened to the kid talk all day. One day, I accidentally took my friend's purse after a school function, which was tangled in my jacket. I opened it and inside was a phone card. This was back in the day of landline phones, and with this card, you could dial a number from any phone and have it billed to your home phone. If I used this card, it would be billed to my friend's home phone. So what did I do? I called James. I talked to James for several months using this phone card. We had intense, uninhibited phone sex at all hours of the day and night. I mean, we role-played, we used items from around the house, and we took grainy pictures for each other, in which I painstakingly hid my face because if you recall, he believed I was one of my sister's pretty friends. We got fully into it. I don't know why I never thought this would catch up to me. Maybe it's true what they say that brains aren't fully formed in the teenage years. Or maybe I was just blinded by his flirty, filthy British accent. After the first month, I thought we were in the clear, so we talked for a couple more and then crap hit the fan. My friend's parents got the phone bill to the tune of $10,000. They sued. They ended up paying down a bunch of it, and I had to pay restitution on the rest. I was forbidden to see my friend again, until we were both legal adults and they couldn't stop us, anyway. It took me several years to pay off the restitution with my after-school job at McDonald's. Totally stupid, but that guy buttered my bread. 8/10 would probably do it again. I was staying in a backpacker's dorm with shared bathrooms. I had a thing for this guy staying there as well and he was into me, but, well, it's hard to find a private spot when you both are staying in 10-bed dorms. So, we did what any horny 20-something would do. We fooled around in the shower. It's worth noting here that we had just switched from a different floor to this one and knew no one. So there we were. Me standing in the shower, water running, him, below me, keeping busy. Next minute, we hear a German accent yell outside the door. "Dude. You're flooding the hallway." In his concentration and my preoccupation, we had managed to block the drain. We came out of the bathroom and yep, the hallway was flooded. So, we spent the next hour or so mopping the hallway and introducing ourselves to the neighbors. Oh yeah, and it leaked in the floor below, so we also had to tell the front desk. My sister was getting married to my now brother-in-law when I was 18. I was his best man. We were finishing up getting ready at the church and I was in one of the back rooms trying to get my tie tied. His younger stepsister, who was my age, had been helping out all day and the night before. She was really cute and she and I had been flirty all weekend. She came into the room to get something and I asked her if she knew how to tie a tie the right way. She came over to help, got all up close, and was giving me cute eyes. It just popped off. We locked the door and got down right before the ceremony. Then later at the reception, her dad found out later and lost his mind. He wasn't married to my brother-in-law's mum, but they'd been together a long time, so I guess she wasn't technically his stepsister. Whatever. He hated me. Every time our families hung out he would be a dickhead. It ended with them breaking up and he moved with his daughter to Missouri. In college, it was a random weeknight. I had started talking to my first girlfriend again. We dated in middle school/freshman year of high school several years prior. She was on trimesters or something, so she didn't have classes that weekend, was at her parents' lake house, alone. Truly my parents are gone text, and 5 minutes later my mind was made up and I was on my way to the car. I drove 2.5 hours one way, in the middle of the night, in February, upper Midwest, to meet up with this girl and seal the deal that preteen me set in motion like 7 years prior. It was just alright. What my pent-up dick forgot about was that I had a mandatory chemistry lab at 8 AM the next day. It was 3 AM when the post-nut clarity hit, while we were smoking some post-weed. I ended up pulling an all-nighter. We banged again, because sex, and then drove back to my school. On zero sleep, about 6x the healthy limit of caffeine, and groggy AF from her crappy weed, I rolled into the chem building. Sit there for 10 minutes before I realize no one else is there. This was pre-smartphones, and most people didn't carry their laptops to classes, so I hopped on a computer to verify the schedule, and see the email from the professor that the lab is moved to the next week. She sent it 2 minutes after I followed my second brain out the door the night before. As rough as that all was, at least at that point you could just go home and crash hard. All the hard, if unnecessary, work had already been done. That sounds like a pretty awesome college experience. In the early days of the internet, somewhere around the year 2000, I would often stay at a buddy's house for the weekend. I was 15, and had been madly in lust with Britney Spears since her rise to fame. My buddy's stepdad worked for the local telecom, and thus had access to the highest of high-speed connections. Late at night, after my friend would fall asleep, I would sneak into his family's den and search for random porn on his family's desktop with wanton disregard and a lot of ignorance towards malicious links, spam, and other shady internet shenanigans. One night, after nearly locking down their computer with an endless stream of pop-ups, I saw an ad promising free access to the newly uncovered Britney Spears blowjob video. My mind, and penis, exploded. I had to see it. And now, I followed the rabbit hole, page after page, click after click, only to discover that I would need a credit card to verify my age as over 18. I was livid. By the next day, after hard resetting their PC several times trying to scrub any evidence of my misdeeds, I had hatched a plan. I would steal my older sister's credit card info and enter it on the website. She would surely never notice the 99-cent fee, and I would be in Britney BJ paradise. So, being completely blind of the dangers of the internet, that's exactly what I did. The next weekend, in the wee hours of the morning, I searched for the video and came across the very same link as the week before. I entered all of her card info. I of course wasn't going to use our own home phone number, so I entered the only other number I could remember by heart in my horny stupor, my work's phone number. Immediately upon submitting my info, my sister started getting hit with huge charges, originating from all over the world. On my end, I was hit with a cavalcade of redirects and pop-ups. I must have spent a couple hours frantically searching for my promised video. As daybreak hit, I admitted defeat as I again hard reset their computer. By lunchtime my sister's bank had called her house about the charges, and they gave her the phone number I entered. Obviously, She and my mom figured it out quick. I confessed as soon as I was confronted. My mom spent that evening convincing my sister to press charges on me. On Monday morning, she drove me to our local police station and dropped me off. I had to walk in and confess everything, alone. As a minor, there really wasn't much they could do other than a couple hours of paperwork. Our school cop then drove down to the station to pick me up and deliver me to school. We arrived during class change, and hundreds of my classmates got to see me walking in late, escorted by the police, straight to the principal's office to explain my tardiness. The rest of the school day is a blur. My sister's card company cancelled the dozens of charges and issued her a new card, though the process took forever and was a major hassle. Our relationship has been strained ever since, and I notice even now, 20 plus years later, that she keeps her purses and wallets safe away when she comes to my home for holidays with my family. My mum sent me on a years-long shame spiral about sex, fub, and jacking that culminated in a couple of months' worth of sessions with some youth pastor that my aunt suggested to her. I had to sit and talk to this total stranger about all of the private thoughts and feelings I was experiencing, with an umbrella of Jesus, who I already didn't believe in, on top of me. The entire thing freaked me up. I'm almost 38 now, twice married, with 3 children. My oldest is nearly the age I was when I did this massively stupid thing, and I am still freaked up from the after effects. I'm weird about my body, weird about masturbation, weird about so much. It adds such a burden to my relationships, and I still never got to see that video. God bless you, Brittany. You thought. 1996. My GF and I both 21 years old. We didn't live together. I lived with my grandparents, she lived with her strict Catholic parents. It was impossible to have sex at her house, and not that easy at mine. We were both horny and I came up with a plan. I had a job driving a box van delivering wheelchairs, hospital beds, medicine etc. I was allowed to take my box van home every night. Over the weekends I had off, so I had my younger brother help me disassemble my futon and pass it to me through our bedroom window. I set the futon up in the back of the box van, put a CD player back there, some incense and candles and whatnot, tried to make it kinda not like the back of a box van I guess. Drove over to pick her up one evening around 8 p.m. We told her parents we were going to the grocery store real quick and we'd be back soon. I drove out to some fig orchards instead. I decided to drive the box van down between the rows of fig trees and get deep back in the orchard so nobody would see the large box van from the road. As we were getting further back down one of those rows it started to get muddy. Me having no experience driving in mud, I thought you just gunned it and kept on gunning it till you got through the mud. Yeah, so that didn't work. It just got worse and worse. Eventually we careen off between 2 trees about 70 feet off the road. We're dead stuck in the mud. I get out, shin deep in mud. She gets out to help me, we're both muddy as frick. There's no getting this box van out. We hike out of this orchard into the nearest neighborhood. No cell phones in these days. We begin knocking on doors of the houses in the neighborhood asking people if we can use their phone. Nobody wanted to answer the door. I guess they were in fear of a home invasion. It took quite a bit of knocking and walking to find some youngsters in front of their parents' house who let us use their phone. I called a tow truck and it took a very long time for it to come out. Upon arriving the driver told me he'd have to put straps on the fig trees to anchor to, and if he broke any trees I'd have to pay the farmer thousands of dollars probably. Fortunately no trees broke. He was able to finally get my box van unstuck and out of the field at around 11 p.m. or so. It costed me $440 which I didn't have on me and I had to call my uncle to borrow it from till I got paid. The whole dang thing was such a mess. I got her home close to midnight and had exactly 0 sex that day. She never even saw the futon or had any idea what we were doing until I told her my failed plans as I was driving her home. That girl stuck it out with me. Dumb decisions and all. We were married for 14 years, our children are 23 years old now. We divorced in 2013 but she's still like my best friend so it's a fairly happy ending kinda story. What a classy guy. right? What woman wants to bang in the back of a box van? Lol. Horniness makes ya do some dumb as sex. That actually sounds like a pretty cool idea. I'd why you think it sounds so bad. Sure, it's not the best accommodations, but you went out of your way to make it more special and private than just sneaking around.